to buy moto, want Toyota Corolla. My feelings been they swing like Django Lover. Feelings been they swing like Django Lover. Now you crash your Ferrari for Lucky Bona. Now some more to remain could have been all over. My feelings today swing like Django Lover. Feelings today swing like Timbani at you. I'm a white dog in Fenisu. Why you say I did nothing for you when if I do anything you want me to do? Timbani at you. I'm a white dog in Fenisu. Why you say I did nothing for you when if I do anything you want me to do? Maybe another time, maybe another life. You will be my wife and we'll get it right. Young cast, last. Now everybody go chop breakfast. Have to say bye-bye, yo. Bye-bye, yo. To the love of my life. My eye, yo. Don't cry, yo. I need to go and shine, 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 yo. I need to go and
You're listening to Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D, Denise Gomez, inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m., for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney, me love you.
Get your day started right with the Morning Connection. Weekday mornings, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on Fit FM 96.7. Connect with Julia Mikkel Benaya on the Morning Connection for news, business and artist promotions, great music and vibe. Morning Connection with Julia Mikkel Benaya, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
Fit FM is owned and operated by Communistation Company Limited, located in Stuart Castle, Duncan's, Trelawney, Jamaica. We broadcast on FM 96.7 locally and is heard worldwide on FitFMJA.com. Our mission is to amplify diverse voices and opinions, inform, educate, entertain, and engage listeners of all ages and lifestyle while promoting responsible community development. Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music.
Blessings and light. This is Aymara, the musical revolutionary. Your host and the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. This and every Monday at 3 p.m. From the home to the community to the wider world. Let us be the change we want to see. Join me this and every Monday at 3 p.m. on the community buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. Struggle goes on. We are the builders of the pyramids. We are the builders of the stone cities of Zimbabwe. We build them White House. We build them factories. With blood, with sweat, with tears. With flesh, with bones. Them use build them economy. Now them want come con you and me with them science and them technology. We make them take with knowledge. Now them are deaf way. Them are blind way. We are walk, we are ride, we are drive, we are fly. Nah look, nah see. Eyes focus on the screen of an iPhone, Galaxy, tablet, Blackberry. Wake up, look. Uno no see said them a bury with. Ancestors crying out. Them a weak, you see we heading back to slavery. Robotic, digital, technological slavery. The rich take them session, call it recession, left the world in depression. Legal and illegal drugs and alcohol on the rise, in dear interests. To our demise, we patronize, now become marginalized, make fools seem wise, because we abide them lies and sell with lies, prostituting our sons, daughters, and wives. Marcus did rise. Yes, we rise. Are we there? 2024. January. For sure. And guess what? 2024 was our blessing galore. Yeah? So we're there. We're there again on the community buzz. January, the first month of the year. And we are blessed to be here. You know what I mean? Many don't make it across, you know what I mean? So we give thanks for those who are here. We want to bless up all of the people who passed through the community bus farm 2023. I don't want to even think about calling names because, you know what I mean? It was many Mondays, How much Monday in a 1 month? Maybe about 4, see? And we were here, for every month, right? And every Monday, except from 1 and 2 holidays, you know what I mean? So we want to salute the people who, made this program possible and continue to support this program, because it is the community buzz and we are buzzing of self-empowerment. We are making sure that people understand themselves clearer, you know what I mean? And it is the responsibility of each and every one of us, to make sure we know who we are, you know what I mean? And to take responsibility for who we are, as we always say in the tagline, from the home to the community to the wider world. Let us be the change we want to see. See? So we are on that mission, you know what I mean, to be the change constantly and constantly improving ourselves, our lives, opening up our lives to new possibility, because that is living. When you know that you don't stagnant, you don't, stuck in a one little corner, you know what I mean? Each moment is something that you are making valuable, you know what I mean? You're making it count, that people can feel your energy, feel your vibration, feel your frequency. And make sure so the energy and the vibration and the frequency is a positive vibration and frequency that people can benefit and feel good about what you are doing, and it might inspire them to do something even greater than what they are doing. So we give thanks. So Julia, how was your holiday, ma'am?
Not too eventful, but I had a good time because I was here when everybody was on holiday. I was here holding down the fort. I had a good time.
Working,
holding down the fort.
According to Portia.
Yes.
See, but we give thanks. We give thanks to the moment, the last person that we interviewed was Sister Aisha, seeing 12 Tribe of Israel. And I decided that, come 2024, we want to focus on a deeper level, seeing women on the spiritual path, right? And the reason being, for years we have been studying and observing, that religion and the practices of religion are a more patriarchal, system, And I am reading a book, and the book named When God Was a Woman. See? And it is so powerful because there are some things that, come to light. I mean, and it is so intriguing for I and I to just observe these things, and some things are in a question from our little youth. We see it come out. Though this person, maybe some people want to see her as a feminist, but why? Why most time the women then resort to something to shine them light? Because for centuries, their light have been covered under the bushel according to the Bible. You know what I mean? And they have to be fighting to make sure that they can shine their light because they have been oppressed and suppressed. So we are looking up during the biblical time, it was still customary, as it has been for thousands of years before in Sumer, Babylon, and Canaan, many women to live within the temple complex in earliest time, the very core of the community. As we have seen, temples owned much of the arable land and herds and of domesticated animals, kept the cultural and economic records, and generally appeared to have function as a central controlling office of the society. Women who resided in the sacred precincts of the divine ancestress, not ancestors, but ancestress, see, took their lovers from among the men of the community, making love to those who came to the temple to pay honor to the goddess. Among these people, the act of sex was considered to be sacred, so holy and precious that it was enacted within the house of the creatress, not creator, but creatress of heaven, earth, and all life. As one of her many aspects, the goddess was revered as the patron deity of sexual love. When we say sexual love, you must understand what that means. It is not about pleasure. It is a sacredness, saying about the world. Some archaeologists assume that these sexual customs of the temple, so repeatedly attested to in the religion of the female deity throughout the early historic periods of the Near and Middle East, must have been viewed as a type of primitive symbolic magic to invoke fertility in cattle and the vegetation as well as in humans. It is my opinion that they may have developed as a result of the earliest consciousness and comprehension of the relationship of sex to reproduction. Since this connection was probably initially observed by women, it may have been integrated in a religious structure as a means of ensuring procreation among the women who chose to live and raise children within the shrine complex as well, possibly as a method of regulating pregnancies. The concept of reproduction was pictorially explained in a gray stone plaque discovered in the Neolithic shrine of the goddess at Katal, Yulok, carved there some 8,000 years ago. You hear how long that? 8,000 years ago. One side of this relief depicts the body of two lovers in a close embrace. The other side, a woman holding an infant. People today raise the program and the morality of the contemporary male religions may find the ancient sexual attitudes and custom disturbing, shocking, or even sacrilegious. Yet, we should consider the likelihood that such judgments of our creation are the result of the teaching and conditioning of religion attitude present in our society, which are themselves based on ideology of those who initially and repetitively condemn the sexual custom of goddess. In the worship of female deities, sex was her gift to humanity. It was sacred and holy. She was the goddess of sexual love and procreation. We want to stop this off for a little while, saying, because what we are observing here, saying, is that further down, we can explain something, you know what I mean? And we're going to talk to a female who is on her spiritual journey, right? Because we observe that over the years, the matrilineal order have been suppressed and overshadowed or overpowered by the patrilineal order. And what they have been doing for centuries, right, is condemning and suppressing the expression of love, of divinity, of light, of what would call it the Ma'at principle, the principle of reciprocity, you know, that guiding light, you know what I mean? So when we look on all of that, why are we in the kind of chaos that we are in the world, in this world today? You know, because for centuries we have not seen a kingdom or a community that is totally governed by the matrilineal order. And when we observe that and read further and research further, realize that for the most part, you know, when the matrilineal order are in place, there are more harmony, there are more love, there are more compassion. And we can prove that, you know, in instant. We say, my wife does some program over the past couple of years, and we were talking about it, you know, pertaining to helping out the elderly. And most of the contributors are female. And we observe that if you maybe go out in the street and start to ask for contribution for anything worthwhile, you realize that the female them step up more than the man them. See? So she's a natural giver. You understand? And she is the one who always, you know, forgiving. If we check it right now, she have forgive us, because if she never forgive us, life would have end. So amidst all the struggle, amidst all the pain, she still hold the order. We could play Mothers of the World, and when we come back from Mothers of the World, you know, we are going to connect with Sister Jean, right?
Oh, you mothers, 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 mothers. Oh, you mothers of the world. Don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you see your sons, they die? Hey, you mothers, open up your eyes, get yourself untied, don't let the well run dry. Many things to sell, but there is no money to buy. Remove the stumbling blocks and lift yourself up high, yeah. Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you see your sons, they die? I am watching the movements of the people. Everyone is troubled in the system of the devil. Many fight and die while many children cry. The struggle still don't end because the root will spring again. Yeah. Oh, you mothers of the world.
Mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Don't you see your sons, they die? You know what I mean? And that is what we are observing. You know, the mothers of the world are carrying so many burdens, so many pain, you know what I mean? And we are observing it, you know. So we are going to highlight for the month of January, maybe going into the Black History Month, female, you know what I mean, who are on the spiritual path. And for the first community buzz, you know, of 2024, we are proud, you know, to have our sister, Jean Sim. Jean Shim. So, make we look on the works of Sister Jean. You know, after many years in corporate America, working in various areas, finance, leading diversity initiatives, and in management, Jean Shim felt pulled to explore her soul's calling. This led her to serve clients and who struggle internally, particularly with self-doubt and actualizing their passion and purpose. She decided to put her psychology degree to work, so she invested in becoming a coach. As a joy and purpose coach, she shares her heart and soul to inspire and empower clients to trust themselves, embody their vision, and take action to help to live a purpose-filled life through the program she creates at her company, Jubilant Spirit. She is also the radio host of Level Up, an inspirational program on online radio platform, Primal. Jean loves creating new programs to inspire and uplift the people she gets the honor of working with. See? And that is Sister Jean Shim. Jane, how are you doing, my great sister?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
I observe your work as a joy and purpose coach, right? And I am looking on that pertaining to how we see things happening in the world. You know, some people struggle to find joy within themselves, right? So the question I'm asking you, first of all, how you coach somebody to be joyful?
It's not coaching them to be joyful. It's coaching them to love and accept themselves. And when you love and accept yourself, you will know that joy is innately inside of you. It's who you are, right? It's what you were created with. And so it's not about going outside in the world or having anyone outside of you fix you to find your joy. It's already in you. So you just need to tune in. Just need to tune in. Yeah.
Good. And I was just looking on some things pertaining to, you know, and as I said to you when we spoke a few days ago, we are looking on women on the spiritual path, right?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself as such as an individual who are on the spiritual journey as a woman?
First, let me tell you how I embody this journey. I am a spiritual being on a human experience.
A spiritual being on a human experience.
On a human experience, on an earthly experience. And it's something that my mentor said the other day, and it stuck with me, and I know this to be true. She said, Earth is a training ground for our souls to grow and expand, right? It's only while we are in the physical form that we can actually live the experiences that we need to allow our souls to really grow and expand, to really be all that we can be. And I'm not talking about just in the physical realm, but to actually grow our souls into enlightenment, right? We're spiritual beings already. We have been spiritual beings from the time we were first created. We're created on the spiritual plane, right? We came into physical form so that we can really expand ourselves, expand our souls. When you're in spiritual form, there's not much you can do, right? You're just you're pure energy. You're there, but you can't do much. When we come here and when we're in physical form, all of the challenges, all of the obstacles that we face, they're lessons. They're lessons for us to grow forward in our lives, right? And a lot of times we look at them as woe me, right? And we get all twisted, and we allow the emotions to carry us into spaces and places that we don't need to be in. If we can just look at whatever experiences we're having, right? Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, and say, what is this here to teach me? Right?
Yes.
We'll find that we grow a lot faster and a lot more forward in our life. We're able to take access of the things that we should, to allow our passion to step into the purposes that we're here to fulfill.
Great. We kind of jumped the gun a little.
Yes.
Somebody just text in to find out if you are a Jamaican born. So just tell us where you tell us where you grew up and just give us a short synopsis of your journey here. You born in Jamaica?
Yes, of course, I'm born in Jamaica. I was born in Montego Bay.
Okay.
Born in Montego Bay. Love the North Coast. Will never say I'm from Kingston like a lot of Jamaicans say, but I moved here and in my teens, and I've spent more years here. Even though I love to say I'm 26, I'm not actually 26. My birth certificate won't say that, but I lived here for many years. But of course, I always have to touch the soil when it comes to yard is yard.
All right. So you're born in Montego Bay and you're schooling?
I actually went to Montego Bay High, but I graduated very early, because I started high school at 9, and and finished very early, and then moved here. I actually moved here to attend college, and then ended up staying here. I guess at that time there was a lot going on politically in Jamaica, and sometimes I guess you go along with the suggestions from your family to make a change, and I ended up being here, and but sometimes I look back and I say, boy, maybe I should have stayed in Jamaica, because I see where our little island has so much to offer the world, but we're not quite there.
Yes.
We're not quite there, and
yes.
I blame myself and many others, because it's on all of us to really make sure that our people are moving in the direction that they need to.
True. Now, as you talk about that, and as you say, we are talking about women on the spiritual path, right? What kind of religious background shape your own life? What
Well, growing up in Jamaica, it's predominantly a Christian. It's of a Christian religious background. So I went to growing up a church called Calvary Baptist in Montego Bay. But I remember being at a certain age. I think I was either 12, 13, 14, a little before I left. And I remember saying to my mom, I'm not going back to church, right? And she said to me, what do you mean you're not going back to church? You have to go to church, because, you're strict. You have to go to church. But there were things that I heard the pastor saying, and I saw many differences in the congregation. And as a young person, I didn't quite understand them, but it felt to me like hypocrisy, right? And I didn't quite know how to, I guess, voice what I was feeling inside. So my thing was to protest and said to my mom, I'm not going back to church, right? But I knew that there was something deeper inside of me, because there were moments that there's a beach in Montego Bay called Doctor's Cave. And I used to, we used to visit that beach often with my friends. But there were times, even with my friends, I would take myself off and I would walk way across the beach and go way out on the jetty and sit out there. And I would talk to the divine. And I would say, why am I here? You know, it was a question that I was asking so profoundly, because I felt like there was something bigger than me. There was something so much more than me than what I had in my immediate circles. And yes, I needed to find that answer. I was searching for that. But I would take myself back to my friends, and the joking would start. You know, as young people, you know, but there was that deep longing to know why was I here? Why was I here on earth? You know, and it took me some years to find that, because even when I moved here, there were years that went by, and even I got to the age where, you know, I felt comfortable dating. I didn't want to get involved with anyone because I felt like I was on this deep soul searching, you know, and it took me many different avenues to get to where I am today. Many ups and downs, you know, and sometimes the downs took me down some very dark places, because I didn't know how to separate then my emotions from what was or what is, right? And I made my emotions lead the way, right? And then as I started to grow more in the search of spirituality, the search of really connecting with my own soul, I began to realize that, wait a minute, your emotions are it's just energy in motion, right? And it's how we perceive whatever took place in our lives, whatever experience we had, that really will allow certain emotions to come in. So whether it's anger or sadness or whatever it is, you just have to allow it to process, you know, to just go through it. Just allow yourself to just feel it. That's the only way you can heal whatever there is, right? But don't allow it to become stuck in you. Don't allow it to become a paradigm from where you make decisions, or, you know, your choices, or whatever it is that you're doing here on this earth. And I had to go through a lot to get to this point. But I am so grateful for each and every one of those lessons, because they shaped me into who I am today.
No, you're speaking so fluently, you know. I just don't want to stop you. But when at age 12, according to what you said, what, say one or two things that was kind of disturbing to your soul or to your ears, why you start to rebel, say, boy, I don't want to go back to church.
Right.
What was happening in your consciousness at that time?
Right. I would hear the pastor preaching this message from the scriptures, and, you know, that we're all God's children, or whatever it was, right? But then I was always very observant, and I would observe that, you know, when you got into the church, people had certain seats. Even I cannot be a hypocrite. If my mother and my aunt, they had certain seats, everybody sat a certain place. So everybody that was considered members, and, you know, and members. If you notice, Jamaica, we have this thing about elitism, right? We have this thing about, you know, if you're from a certain family, you know, you seem to have a step up, right? Some people sat in certain places in the church. I noticed that, you know, because I would sit here and sometimes I would just look around, right? But one of the things that got me was after this profound sermon that this pastor gave. I heard two members discussing this young woman, and she was, maybe from what we would say in Jamaica, maybe a colloquial background. And she came into the church, and I heard them talking about her, and they were saying, "Oh, Lord G, not the same frock she wear last week, right?
Oh.
And that disturbed me. That disturbed me so greatly because I'm like, okay, you're here and you're professing God. You're professing we're all supposed to be serving the same God. Here you are this
Mm-hmm.
great member, you're great members of this church, and yet you're sitting and
Mm-hmm.
you're discussing another person who just walked in. Who cares if she wore it 30 different times? Right? Because one thing I
Mm-hmm.
know, it says we're not here to render our clothes, but we're here to render our hearts. So I say,
Mm-hmm.
wait, then these people, they're not really taking in the lessons. They're not really embodying it and allowing them to
Mm-hmm.
grow. They're just here. It's like
Yes.
church is a formality. So I started
Mm-hmm.
developing my own thoughts around that. And so I rebelled and I
Whoa.
said to my mom, I said, boy, I'm not going back to church, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and of course, my mother always had lessons for us beyond that because,
Yes.
I believe that my heart was shaped by my parents because they were always so giving and they always taught us that there is not one person better than the other, right? And that,
Okay.
you cannot or should never ever look down your nose at anyone because
Whoa.
everybody's here to contribute something to this earth, to this journey we call life. So I had teachings from my parents from very young, but just that
Whoa.
those little instances I saw in the church is what made me,
Mm-hmm.
want to stand against it, and
Yeah.
go ahead.
There's a saying that
Mm-hmm.
from the age of 0 to 7, whatever
Mm-hmm.
is inculcated in the child, that will
Mm-hmm.
literally shape the thinking and the world
Yes.
that child will grow up in, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it is living evident right there with you within that whole process, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is the reason why you, as somebody who experienced, your parents of as a giving household, sharing,
Yes.
taking care of each other. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you experienced.
Oh,
Now
yes.
you in a settings where this community is supposed to serve each other, but what you are seeing is like a classist kind of structure
Yes.
rather than a
Yes.
communal
Yes.
structure.
Yes.
I get what you mean. I
Yes.
get what you mean. Yeah.
And
You
I
just
didn't
you
at
just,
that tender age, I knew that that did not belong anywhere in the world, but particularly if we're in a house that we're saying we're here to worship, we're here to
yes.
bring to connect as one, right? How can you have that? So as a
Mhm.
young person, that stood out
Yes.
greatly for me.
Yes. As you use the word worship,
Hmm.
you know, if I ask you to express worshiping, how would you express
Hmm.
it for us?
Worshiping, worshiping. I
Because
think I it's a song
yes,
of the soul. That's how I look it. I look at it. It's like singing from the soul.
yeah,
Worship is not
hmm,
necessarily in a building that we call
yes,
church or temple or whatever. Because I think the
hmm,
greatest worship you can have is out in nature, where you can
hmm,
really, really see the beauty of divine spirit's creation in its
yes,
most natural form. You hear the sound of the wind
yes,
and its music
hmm,
itself. You hear the birds chirping.
yes,
That's another level of
yes,
music. So, worship to me is a song of the soul.
hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. Now you use a term early on. Your emotion are just energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Break down that for us, because I believe make the people get some more clarity on that. That's such a powerful expression. Your emotion are just energy in motions, in
Well,
motion.
Imara, you think about it. We're all
Yes,
energy. Everything is energy.
yes,
I don't
yes,
care whether it's something tangible or intangible. It's just energy.
yes.
And it just depends on how fast that frequency is or how slow it
Hmm.
is, right?
Yes.
You're a musician, so you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Everything is energy. So
Yes.
when you think about when we have feelings about something, it's just energy
Mm-hmm.
again, right? But a lot of
Yes.
times, instead of realizing that, wait, this is a frequency that's passing, it's going through us, right? Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, whether it's anger, right? You in the moment, we're human beings, we get something happen and you get angry, and it's a frequency that's passing through, that's allowing you
True.
to, yes, maybe bring your tempo up a bit, right? But
Yes.
it's also where we allow it flow through, not allow it to become stuck where we're holding someone up in our hearts and we're going, boy, that person does something to me, and can't let it go. Nonsense. We have the
Ah,
power. We have the power to use our energy to befit
right.
us as well as other humans on the planet. So there's nothing that we cannot do with our energy, right? When it comes to when even when we say, "Oh my gosh, we're so in love," we're so in love, right? And then 3 months down
Yes.
the line, something happened, and you can't stand that person, right? Wait a minute, you were so in love 3 months ago. It's energy and it's moving, right? That's why I will say to a person, yeah, we fall in and out of love, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's an emotion. However,
Yes.
when you love, when you love, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
loving unconditionally. That is from the soul. The heart is the seat of the soul, right? That is unconditional. So even if your spouse messes
Yes.
up and does something wrong in your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
right? That love still prevails because it's a love that has no beginning and no end. It's not based on condition. It's not based
Yeah.
on whether or not you please me. It's not based on whether or not you gave me the gift I expected, right? It's a love that is from one soul to the next, recognizing that this other person is just another version of me.
Wow. You know that when you express yourself that way, Gene,
Mm-hmm.
right? Pertaining to unconditional love, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
if you love, no matter what, you still love because
Oh, yes.
you are love. You are sharing love from your soul. You
Exactly.
are not. You are not giving, expecting to receive. You are giving in a way or sharing. Let me use the word share because when you give with something, it's like you don't have anything left of it. So love is
Right.
something for me that cannot be give away. You can't give it away. You only can share it, and the
You're
more you
correct.
share it, it's
You
like
can
a
share
reciprocal
it.
energy. Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So one of the reasons why we have you here is to
Mm-hmm.
allow you, you know what I mean, to express
Mm-hmm.
yourself because it's not often, especially women on this path,
Mm-hmm.
get the chance within these medium, you know what I mean, to say what is truly on their heart, you know what I mean, or what is truly within their soul, you know what I mean. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe
Mm-hmm.
that we need to see more female circle, that this kind of dialogue or discourse or reasoning can happen, for the betterment and the upliftment of our community. Now,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I use the word altar, and I want to use another word, shrine. See,
Yes.
when you sit in your altar, describe your altar or your shrine. What is it like? You know what I mean? To share from that space that it can impact the lives of people.
One of the things I'm going to tell you about myself.
Yes.
I love to go within. And within me, I don't necessarily set up an outward shrine. Why? Because I believe that when we go inward, and when I can guide people to go inward, that's the shrine that we most can depend on, because it's always within us, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have, if I travel across the world, I don't have to worry about whether or not I have a physical shrine. I have the shrine within me, and going within me, I'm seeking my own inner light. I'm seeking my divinity, because it's always there. It's always present, never absent, right? And
great.
I encourage people to get familiar with your divinity. Get familiar with the creative power of all life, the all-seeing, all-knowing, all-intelligent, all love, all peace that is within you and me, within each and every one of us, right? We have spent so much of our existence, too much of our existence, being programmed by the world, that we're always looking outside of us, right? We're always dependent on something outside of us to feel like we are moving in some sort of direction, and then we bump heads and then we get lost. And I'm telling you, the greatest source is inside of each and every one of us. That's where our true power is. So that's where
inner shrine.
Yes, my inner shrine.
Walking, moving, wherever you are sitting in your inner shrine. Right?
Inner shrine. Never
what a
afraid
powerful
to go within.
expression. Inner shrine. Never fear or never fearful to go within your inner shrine.
That's right.
DJ Gaddafi, I remember the first time you described those folks that way, scribes and Pharisees, and him laugh. His girl 77. I guess Jesus had breaking stocks at Gaddafi. I encountered the scribes and Pharisees in my teens. Yeah. So
oh boy.
We hear these terms over the years in biblical expression.
You want to know something?
Scribe. Yeah. Because there's where I want to go, Jane. Thank you. When we speak of scribes and Pharisees, is it because them don't understand themselves, or is it because they are designed to be scribes and Pharisees? These people who believe that they are lesser than themselves are greater.
I think it's by design.
You believe it is by design?
It is by design. Let me tell you something. If you don't,
so who is the designer?
Empower yourself to design your own life. The world will design it for you.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yep.
Wow.
You have to.
So it is by design.
To design
and I want
your life.
If you
design your own.
I want you to repeat that, Jean. The platform is.
I said.
Right.
That
design.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to empower your own self to design your own life. To design your own life by whatever your soul is calling you forward to do. Because if you don't, the world will design your life for you.
Whoa. You have to empower yourself to design your own life. What a powerful statement. You need to print a t-shirt with that, yeah? You need to put that on a t-shirt or
them coming. They're
going to
be the primal wear.
The Fit FM. Don't let out the Fit FM. Community buzz.
Of course, and the Fit FM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jean, you see, we always look within the right. and there's some line in it. Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Don't you see your sons they die?
Yes.
As a mother,
Yes.
who have been here for a while, and experiencing the power of the patriarchal order, right? How difficult or challenging it is for a woman to take on what we call the spiritual path after being suppressed and oppressed for centuries. Not just you, the individual, but it extended to you, the individual, because it has been happening for centuries. How challenging and difficult it is.
It is very challenging. But remember what I said before about challenges? When you take on a challenge and you realize that challenges will always exist, no matter what level you rise to, you look at it differently, right?
Yes.
Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. If we're always looking at it from, boy, I'm being oppressed, then you're going to feel like the downtrodden. You're going to feel like you're carrying a burden, right? But if you look at it from the other side and you say, yeah, they're trying to oppress me, but I'm going to keep rising. I'm going to keep stepping on top of whatever it is that you try to bury me with. I'm going to keep stepping on top of it, and I'm going to keep rising, right? We have seen the chaos in the world because men are in charge, right? And men think one way, right? Women are nurturers for a reason. We were created to be nurturers. As a nurturer, you look at it from the family structure. You look at it from the community structure. And that is what we take into the world. And I believe that in order for us to get back on track, we're going to have to embrace more of the feminine energy. Because there's a lot more nurturing needed in the world to take down the obstacles that have been put up by the male energy, right? And the male energy, listen, we have both, all of us, you, me, we have both feminine and masculine energy. But as a woman, I embrace more of my feminine side. I have more feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
We are not afraid to love and correct in the same breath. We're not afraid to love and stand our ground in the same breath. We're not afraid to love and realize that we have to embrace others in the same moment, right? Whereas I think men look at it as it's either I'm with you and I love you, or I'm against you, right? And we need in this moment, because there's so many challenges in the world, so many people are under pressure, so many people are feeling the burden of what's going on, right? And if we're not careful, we start to sway towards wherever the status quo is leaning towards, right? And we're listening to all of the media and the sensationalism going on in the world, and we're saying, oh well, they say it's going that way, so it must be that way. And we start leaning towards it, without realizing that if we just stop ourselves for a moment, embrace the fullness of who we are as human beings, just go within, touch your soul, connect with that part of you. You realize that all we need is to be love itself. All we need to be love itself, because then when we come to one another, we'll come as love. And we can hear each other out. We can agree to disagree.
True.
But we're doing it on the premise of love, because that's what's leading the way, because we are coming as love. And we'll be able to see ourselves that we are indeed one. There's no division except what we have created in this world. There's no division. I don't like labels. I don't like this thing about race. I don't like this thing about classism. I don't like all of these isms that these sociologists created in the world, right? So I also have a degree in sociology, right? But I hate the structures that have been put in place, right? Because I feel like that just divides us as human beings even more. And the more divided we are, the less compassion we feel for one another. The less we can come from the space of peace, of knowing that we're here to harmonize together, that we're here as the answer for what's happening on this earth. You and I, all of us, we're here for such a time as this. We're not just simply here. We didn't just come here and say, boy, we're here. We just happen to be here. We're here for such a time as this. We are the answer. But we have to break through a lot of the crap that's going on.
Yes.
Right? And it means showing up, and it means being our authentic self, and it means not worrying about how this person or that person is going to think of me. Just showing up and doing our part. You know, not worrying about whether or not, boy, Imara have 100 million in the bank and me only have 200,000. Wait, me can't be doing what I'm doing and him do more than me. We can't worry about that. We cannot worry about that. We have to show up knowing that we are here answering our soul's calling, because we are here to be the answer to the chaos that's going on in our world. We are the ones, we are the light bearers. We are here to light up the darkness. Let me tell you something. What happens when you go into a dark room and you flip the script, the switch? What happens? The light goes on, right? The light goes on. And what happens when the light goes on? You don't see darkness nowhere. It obliterates the darkness.
Darkness disappears.
It disappears.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
We are those light bearers.
Yeah.
But we first have to embody that within our own selves. Stop worrying about how you look and what you're adoring yourself with. Stop worrying about what this person is doing and that person comparing or competing. That's what has been taking us down. If we are here knowing that whatever we have inside of us, that we're here to share it with one another, that we're here to uplift one another, that we're here to help each other heal. Do you know how much further we would go together? Just how much more could get done? How many more obstacles we could knock out of place? But we're too busy. We're too busy trying to say, me, me, me. I.
This is the kind of sermon. I don't want to call it sermon. This is the kind of sermon that I'm looking for. You know, it is touching my soul. It is really, sending chills through my body. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling empowered right here. You know, just know that it's a joy to have you. Let's read something what God has say here. Yeah, what a quote. Male egocentricity began in the Bible. That is God of it. See? Yeah. Okay. Male leaders of churches have used the Bible verse to suppress women. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be silent. And him quote 1 Timothy 2:11 to 12. Now, that's another answers, right? So, right, we gotta feel dig up, pertaining to the views and how the religious leaders of the world use scriptures. We use that term because scriptures were formulated to serve the purpose of those who want to dominate and those who want to have power over others. And when just reading what he said right here, so we see how laws are formulated, you know.
Oh yes.
And
Oh yes.
I always pay attention. I don't know if it's the same for you. I always pay attention to three institutions: the institution of religion, the institution of politics, and the institution of schooling.
Yes.
These are powerful tools.
Yes.
And I realize that the institution of schooling is always controlled by those who control politics and religion. And there is how the formulation of laws impact the lives of people. I always observe the woman, especially studying Asian Kemet and the principle of Ma'at, as the living law that walk with that consciousness. I'm talking about the universal law within her being. And when we say the woman, it is wider than just the female or human being. But I am talking about the feminine energy when you look at it and all aspect of life, you know? Yeah, I see it as the order, because without her, there is no life form.
There's no life form.
You know what I mean? And she is always, yeah, it is true. It is true. She's always connected, no matter how you try to separate yourself, you know, because just look at the process of life, the whole process of life, you know, how we function, you know, is the female that is there always. Always.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Now, as a psychologist, you have a degree in psychology, right?
Yes.
When you observe, you know, the works that you are doing, right? And you see you see the people, you know, going through so much struggle, right? And some of them have serious challenges finding themselves. What is that one thing you like to impart to them? Yeah, those female out there who are struggling to find themselves.
They were never
I mean,
lost.
I speak specifically to the female.
I'm going to say this. They were never lost.
Yeah.
They came into this realm whole and complete. All of us did.
Wow.
We have just disconnected from ourselves.
Wow.
And it's in these challenging moments.
Whole and complete.
Yes, we came here whole and complete. Whole and complete. And we've always been whole and complete. We just disconnected from ourselves because we're so busy watching the world and trying to live up to the standards of the world that we disconnect from our true selves. It's easy to connect. It's easy. Your true self is always there. You just need to go within. Go within and connect with who you truly are on the inside. Stop worrying. You see, we spend so much time. Let me tell you something about the female. We spend a lot of times. We grow up and you learn that, oh my gosh, you want to be attractive all the time because that's how you attract the right man. So you want to be dressed in a nice way. Nothing wrong with that as long as you don't get caught up in it. So you want to make sure your face is made up and you have on the best jewelry and you want to have on the most provocative, clothing or whatever. Listen, you have to worry about your mind. What's in your mind? We live and take up so much space in our mind so much of the time that you have to make sure that it's a good place to be. That is what will lead you the way that you need to go. But we spend a lot of time on our physical selves because society has taught us that's what will open the doors that we need opened. Right? If you look attractive, if you dress a certain way, if you smell a certain way, if you wear your hair a certain way. Listen, I remember I have been wearing my hair natural for a long time. I wear braids because sometimes me not like
Yeah.
comb hair, right? But
Yeah.
I always figure that I like the Afrocentric part of me, right? And I
Yes.
remember when I started in corporate America, this is like maybe of age, maybe in the 80s, early 80s or whatever. And I
Mm.
remember they had a problem. They had a problem with me and my braids because when I first started with them, you know, of course, you're going by the world standards. I used to perm my hair. I had, what you call it, what they say in Jamaica, we say you cream your hair, right? Straighten it. And I remember
Yeah,
I
cream.
lived in
Yeah.
yes, I lived in New York at the time, and I would take the train into Manhattan because I worked in Manhattan. And I remember I used to sit. I always tell you I was always very observant, still am, and sit and I'm watching these women that come on the train, right? Both Caucasian women and women
Hmm.
from, an African descent, whether American, Jamaican, whatever, right? Um, and I would notice the white women, they have this tendency to
Hmm.
flash the hair like this, right? They flash the hair. But I noticed our black sisters were doing the same thing, right? And I said, wow, boy, they emulate that quite well. So then the more and more I observed this,
Hmm.
the less and less I liked having the perm in my hair. So I remember one day when I got home from work, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said to the reflection of me, I said, who are you? Well, who do you identify with? And at that time, I was starting. That was one of the when I was going through the soul searching. And I remember I would always say to my friends, I'm African, right? And they would say, no, you're Jamaican. I said, no, I'm an African born in Jamaica, right? And that's how I used to actually say that to my friends. And they would sometimes dispute that with me. No, I'm Jamaican. And I said, no, I'm an African born in Jamaica, right? So, and they say, yeah, but your
Hmm.
grandfather, your father Chinese. I say, yes, and I acknowledge that part of me because I love granddad. I acknowledge
Yeah.
that part of me, but he's also he's also a derivative of Africa, right? So I remember looking in the mirror and I looked at myself and I said,
Yes.
I don't want this anymore. So I had my hair in a ponytail and I held up the ponytail and I cut the ponytail off, right?
Yeah.
And I waited for the fresh growth. Every time after that, I waited for the fresh growth and I would cut more and more of my hair off. I didn't even go to a hairdresser. I did it myself. And I began to embrace my natural hair. And maybe it was a form of retaliation. Maybe I was rebelling against the system. Maybe I was rebelling against the fact that why can't we feel beautiful in our own natural state? Why do we have to emulate these other people to feel beautiful? They're beautiful as they are. I should be beautiful as I am, right? So I started down
Yeah.
that journey, and
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
when, like sometimes to make it easier, because I'm one of these people, last minute, I'm always rushing, right? And I said, boy, I braid up my hair. So I would go to these African braiders and get it braided and stuff. And I had a problem in corporate America because they did not embrace that part of me. In actuality, they protested
Whoa.
against my braids because, and I said, I don't understand. And they said, well, they don't think it's professional. And I said, what makes it
Whoa.
unprofessional? We just don't think that's a style that suits corporate America. And I said, how so? And they could not come
Whoa.
up with an explanation except that it was unprofessional, right? It was braids, right? I still was dressed corporate by their standards, right? Which was most times wearing a suit or being, conservatively dressed. But my braids were a problem.
Yes.
And knowing how I am, I will stand my ground. I don't care if the crowd is moving in that direction and I feel like standing right here, I'm going to stand right here. So I stood my ground and I said, I'm not going to stop wearing my braids because this is part of my culture, right? As an African, a person of African descent. I said, this is how African women most times wear their hair. I said, when I had my hair straightened, you didn't have a problem with it, right? But I said, that's not the natural state of my hair. So I said, I've put it in a style that I think it's manageable. I've put it in a style that I think represents my people. And I don't see a problem with it. So it went on for a while. And then, and I had all kinds of, people coming up in my way. And, sometimes they will even like something that you're deserving of, all of a sudden you don't get it. But I stood my ground. And eventually it began changing. And I heard other Black women, they would come up to me and say, boy, I love your braids. How did you get them to allow you to wear it? I say, allow me? I say, I make decisions for me. And I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's just the person that I am. I said, I make my decisions for me. So, and I think I would have stood my ground to the point if they had asked me to leave. I said, okay, that's it. I can leave. I'm going to find something somewhere else because I didn't know to put the words to what I'm saying now at that time. But I just had this really determined spirit. Now I know it's the power of the divine in me. I'm here to allow life to be experienced through me, but as me. I don't want someone else having that much power, that much say over my life. And so I went on to a giant in the corporate world here in America. And I wore
your action.
Yes, I wore my braid, and that's why I got involved with the diversity initiatives, because that became something that, I guess was being looked at as something that was necessary because Congress, these companies, they follow everything that Congress is doing. And so I got involved in it because we can't stand on the sideline and watch things happen. If we want to make changes take place, we have to be in it. We have to have a voice.
Good.
We have to take action.
I want for you to, we are going to take a quick break. We'll play Mothers of the World again, and we're going to take a quick break and come forward. And I want for you to explain to us this diversity initiative, what is that about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mothers.
Mothers, oh you mothers, oh you mothers of the world. Don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you see your sons, they die? Hey, you mothers, open up your eyes, get yourself untied, don't let the well run dry. Many things to sell, but there is no money to buy. Remove the stumbling blocks and lift yourself up high, yeah. Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you see your
sons they die. I am watching the movements of the people. Everyone is troubled in the system of the devil. Many fight and die while many children cry. The struggle still don't end because the root will spring again. Yeah. Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you see your sons they die? Please don't make such silly mistake. Mixing love with hate, now get yourself in shape. No more time to waste, it's time to make the break. You can't conquer if you only have some faith, yeah. Oh, you mothers of the world, don't you hear your daughters cry? Oh, you mothers of don't you see your sons they die?
Yes. This is the Community Buzz on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music, and we're also simulcasting on primal4k.com. We are talking with Jim Shin, and she's a joy and purpose coach. You know, she's on the spiritual path as a feminine energy, and you know, she's just blazing up the airwaves right now. You know, we are feeling her energy. You know what I mean? And we give thanks, you know, for having her here, because one of the things that we must come to reckon with is that balance in life, you know, that balance, that inner balance within selves, you know. Jean, welcome forward. You spoke earlier on about diversity initiative. What is that? Mm-hmm. Can you explain first the diversity initiative?
So, you know how we're all supposed to be one, right? We're all one, right? There's a lot of people who
supposed to be, yeah.
So, yeah, we're supposed to be one because we are one, right? But there are a lot of people who struggle with that, right? Because of the things that they have learned, the things that they have been indoctrinated with, right? So you find that here in, especially in a country such as this, America, right? You have where if you're of a certain race or a certain ethnic background, you don't have the same seat at the table, or, you know, you may not be looked at in the same way. And so we found that when things started to come to a head, like in the news and, you know, and Congress is going to come up with a solution, right? So they started these initiatives so that people could learn about each other's cultural and ethnic backgrounds, is to raise awareness, right? And many big corporations decided to step into the same arena and bring about awareness. It's to bring about awareness of, you know, different cultures and ethnicities. So sometimes, you know, being at a big corporation, some people, when it first started this initiative, they would say, well, it's not going to change anything because they're still going to look at us the same way. My thought was that if we, as a people, and I'm going to say as Black people, if we simply sit on the sideline all the time and we don't get involved in these initiatives so that, listen, we have a voice in it, we have a seat at the table. We cannot complain if we don't see things moving in our direction, right? And so when it began as a very small initiative, like I said, at this major corporation, major company. And it started with the, we had a small group trying to get to solutions with some complaints that were coming in. People that thought that they weren't getting promoted because of their race, where they were training people who were, let's say, of the Caucasian race, and these people were being promoted way, over them and being made supervisors and managers, and a lot of unfairness started to come forward. And so the VP of Human Resources decided to formulate this small group as it was an initiative to try to amend some of these complaints to see what was really happening, because, at the very, very top of this pyramid, they're sitting up there and they're like, I don't understand why this is happening in this company. This shouldn't be happening, right? But I'm thankful for the person that she is, that she wanted to know more, right? And so this small group of digging deeper began, and I was a part of that group. And I heard some things that you would have thought we were back in the early 60s or 50s, right? And we realized, and I spoke up and said, no, this can't be happening, right? And if it's happening, we need to do something about it. We can't turn the blind eye. And I said, if someone is going to feel like they're going to get some kind of backlash because they're speaking up, or because we're trying to get to a solution, I said, no, this just cannot take place here, right? And that's how it began. And they made it company wide, where what we would do is bring awareness about, different cultures, different ethnicities with each month that Congress celebrates, right? Which is either Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage, Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, the veterans, whatever it was, whichever month it was, we would have different programs around that month's diversity. So either we would bring in speakers, if it was Black History Month, we would bring in someone that was very in tune with the struggles of Black people in America, that would speak on some of the issues. I'm talking about on a very professional level. We were paying people to come in. We would have, and you could formulate your program however you saw fit. Because I was leading it, I wanted the whole thing. So if it was, let's say it was Black History Month, I brought in speakers. I remember on one program, I brought in a Black opera singer. This they had never seen, because they only ever think that, opera is only sang by people that, that's of the paler skin tone. I would bring in, just different, it was a gamut of different performers or speakers. It could be something in the health profession, because, Black people tend to, especially here in America, they have certain illnesses more so than other races. If it was Hispanic Heritage Month, I did something according to but it spoke volumes, because people throughout the company started to learn more about different people, right? And what was important to them. For Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, a lot of people from the Asian world, whether they were Chinese, Japanese, Indians, right? They had this mentality of coming to work, and it just seemed like they didn't socialize with anyone. And people used to think, oh, they're just antisocial. That's how they work. But it got down to the nitty gritty. Was that they felt like maybe they stood out. People wouldn't understand them because they were so different. They ate different. They dressed differently. When they were outside of work, they liked to wear their traditional clothing, and they didn't think it would fit in. So I began to bring so much awareness. Even at one time I had, and believe you, it may seem simple, but a fashion show, right? Of wearing their traditional garbs. And I did not, I did not have traditional Asians wear them. I had people from other cultures wear them. to show that, listen, anybody can wear anything. You have to get rid of the biases in your mind, right? It's about reducing the biases in your mind.
Wow.
See a person as a whole person. See them as you see yourself. See them to what they bring, what they
Yes.
contribute to the company. It has nothing to do with their skin color or their ethnic background. It's all about what are they bringing to the table? What are they doing to help us to all advance, right? Because that was the initiative. And so we began to raise awareness in such a way that, let me tell you, these things, they used to give us the biggest rooms at that particular company. We also had an auditorium. It was full. It was
Wow.
full every time we had a program.
Great.
Every time. And there was a lot of work involved, right? Because we had to go for it. I had to meet with corporate VPs, department VPs, because I had to raise a budget. Because it was not the company just handed us money. We had to raise money. And when I sat with them, because I led the initiative, a lot of times I had to substantiate why these programs would help, why these programs would do what this particular company had as their mission when it came to the diversity initiative. So it was huge. It was huge. But I'm telling you, it was very successful. It was very successful. And it became such a thing that they made it a part of everybody's performance review. Want to look the other way.
Was it a case that you were volunteering doing all of that, or is just it was something that
it was work that was project based within the company? It started out with the small group where I was volunteering.
Okay.
But it was still on some levels volunteer, because I was working still in finance, right? However, it got so big. It got so big. It was a huge initiative, and it took. Let me tell you, it grew to such a point that people that were at first turning up their noses, or they were looking the other way or wondering, it broke through so many barriers. And I remember, listen, there is one, and I can say this because I know, she has transitioned. However, it was a woman, and I will always say her name because every time I think about her, it moves my soul. Her name was Gladys Meyer. And she was a woman that moved up north from the South, where she had lived through Jim Crow. And she moved here and she got a job at this company. And she started out as a level 5, which is pretty low level, right? Mm-hmm. And this woman worked her tail off. And Mara, she worked her tail off. She developed 2 processes for that company that they up until the time I left there, they were still using, right? This woman trained young white women who came in and they were promoted over her. And every day she would walk in, and I remember she was always very quiet. And she would walk in and she would almost like, you could see her shoulders were always rounded, and she would always hold her head down, right? And she would say good morning, and her head would hold down, and she would go to her desk. And I remember one time I just, it was probably having lunch, and we struck up a conversation, and she told me her story. And in one of the big board meetings that we had, it was a board meeting for the diversity initiative. And I brought it up, and there were some major VPs there, and I brought it up. And I said, why is this woman only at a level 7 after so many years with this company, where we're using 2 of her processes, right? 2. And yet she's only at a level 7. She has trained other people that don't look like her, who have been promoted over her, and she's only at a level 7. I said, something is wrong with that. You know, now I tell you, I can be a screamer, but very
Yes.
calmly. But back then, I didn't care. I was a loudmouth, right? And I made sure that they heard. And I said, something is wrong with that. And somebody has to explain to me why that happened. And no one looked at it and said, something is wrong with this. And so one VP, it was this Italian guy, and he stood up and he said, yeah, I agree with you. Something is definitely wrong with that. And when she heard, she came to me and she said, Jean, thank you so much. Thank you for being the voice that I didn't have. You know, immediately they put something in motion, right? She was promoted.
Oh, yes.
She was given, there was a lump sum that was paid out to her. Because how can you see something that's wrong and just stay quiet about it? If it disturbs your spirit, we spend too much time talking about nonsense. We spend too much time, sending our energy out to things that don't matter, when there's so many other things at hand that we could give that energy to, and that's why the diversity initiative was so very important to me, because there were so many things that needed to be addressed. And there are so many people within these corporations and our government that they just have this air of entitlement. They feel like it's okay because they've always had it their way. What about the other person, the other people who are doing their thing and they're still struggling, and they just feel like they're not seen and they're not heard? What about them? Right? So in this work that we do, that each of us do in our soul's calling, we have to know that we're here for a reason. And I will say it again, we're here for such a time as this.
Perfectly said. Now, you explain to us your movement, your own joy and purpose coaching. How is that impacting people? Every time I spoke with you, I talk with you, you said, why you have client coming in, so it seems that you're a very busy person. I mean,
I am busy. I am busy.
Yes.
It's
and I am happy for that. I am happy for that.
Yes. So am I, because there's an awakening. There's an awakening happening, and there needs to be more of an awakening. And it's not about it's not about how much money you're making. It's about how much of an impact you're making on this earth, right? Even with you being here on this platform, how much of an impact you're making. With Primal folks, how much of an impact we're making there, right? Because people need to awaken to themselves, to the greatness of who they are, right? And so in my joy and purpose coaching, it's really allowing, I am not the one that does the work. I just guide people. They do the work. They're the ones that have to decide. They get to choose what it is that they want as their life. I guide them. To be able to let go of the things that no longer serve them, right? And to focus on where they want to go, what they want to be, who it is that they are in this moment. And if they don't like who they are, you get to choose. You get to choose to move forward. You get to choose to step into a higher version of yourself. Enough with the complaining, enough with the victim consciousness, right? Because you're going to get stuck there. If we keep on going over the same thing, you're going to live the same thing over and over and over again. All right. What happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? All right. It happened. But you got to move forward. You have to focus on, where am I going? Stop focusing on the back. Look, I'm sitting in my car. I'm looking ahead. If I spend my time driving and looking backward, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Chaos. That's where we have been living. We have been living like that, in chaos, because we spend so much of our energy looking behind us instead of looking forward, looking towards where it is that we want to go. And when I guide
Yes.
someone, it's to connect on a deeper level with themselves. When you connect with yourself, listen, you may have to feel some stuff in the beginning because you have just had it just lingering inside. But when you allow yourself to feel it, you can heal it. You can heal it. And you can realize, sometimes you even look at it and say, why was I allowing this thing to lead my life? Why was I allowing this thing to create so much havoc in my life? I don't even remember where this started. I don't even know if this thing is true. So much of us are living in the past. So many of us are dragging that past around with us everywhere we go. 2024, we still dragging stuff from 2015, 2009, 1997. Let go. It's a burden. Don't you feel how
1997.
burdensome it is?
Some of us stuck in 2000 years ago.
Yes.
You know,
And let me
we
tell you
get up.
something.
Gene, let me tell you something. When me hear sometimes all these people get up and them a beat a book and them a talk about Hosea and them a talk about Ezekiel and them a talk about Daniel, we don't even know if nobody did name so, right? And within the present moment, there are so many things happening to us.
Exactly.
But you are quoting, you know, what Joseph did and Hosea.
Let me tell you my take on this. Let me tell you my take on this. The other day I was listening to something. And I know, listen, you talk about Jesus, you talk about this, that, and, you know, there's all this discussion. I was in this discussion about whether, this person, Jesus, born in Africa. So I would expect that, he has some melanin, right? But we're seeing pictures of a white Jesus. But at the end of the day, I said, you know what I say? I don't care. Because that is not going to lead my life. I have a soul within me that's calling me forward. And I will follow the path of least resistance because my soul leads the way. And when I can surrender to the divinity that's in me, I cannot go wrong because my soul will never misguide me. The world will. The world
you said
will.
something right.
Even my mind,
I don't want to break
mind
you.
can get infiltrated. My mind may try to lead me the wrong way, but my soul will never misguide me.
Follow the path of least resistance. I may have to pick out some expression from you. Break down that because you really are carrying me to some place right now. Follow the path of least resistance. Because why you know why that ring a bell? Why that ring a bell? Most time you talk to people, why they have fight life, you know. We have to fight it, you know. You know what I mean? So we always have fight. No, to express it that way, follow the path of least resistance.
Yeah. Because it shouldn't be a fight.
Just break it down. That because you must.
It should never be a fight.
Have been a fight.
When you're struggling and you're fighting to get to something, it should never be a fight. If you have to fight to stay in a relationship, if you have to fight, shouldn't be a fight. Everything should flow because energy flows. The only time that energy has to fight its way is when there are blockages. If there's blockages in the energetic system, it cannot flow through. Just like if your veins, right? If there's block somewhere in the vein, the blood can't flow through like it should. So what happens? You end up with a problem. You could end up in the emergency room, right? It's the same thing with your energetic system. Nothing should be a fight. It should flow. Life needs to flow, right? So if we're following the path of least resistance, it's simply where we're aligning ourselves and we're following where our soul leads. It's a path of least resistance. When we're trying to
Wow.
do everything by the world standard, sometimes it will feel tough. It will feel like, oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard. I'm trying. It's like I'm running this race and I can't win, and I can't catch up. And what happens? You're just constantly filled with anxiety. You're filled with turmoil. You feel out of sync. You feel like you're constantly have to compete, or you're comparing yourself, or whatever it is, and you just can't catch up. You can't measure up. You feel like you can't measure up. And what happens? It's either of two things. It's either you're gonna be that person that feels like, okay, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, that's why I'm not getting there. Or you may be that person that's on the other end of the spectrum that feels like, you know what? I'm better than that person. That's why I'm here and they're not.
Oh, it's like this level of reasoning on the 8th of January 2024, the first and the community buzz. Make we read some of the comments and coming from Primal. It's girl 77. Sometimes you have to open your mouth for those who can't, for whatever their reason is. Yeah. God have to say, how do you feel about is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Us now negative because of current politics. Yeah, the question is asking.
Yeah.
I want to say, how do we see it? Yeah. Many people, is girl 77. Many people need direction out there. We all do at some point, whether we are able to redirect ourselves or go get help. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
But we have to know that, whether we are the help or we are the ones getting the help, that we have to just be humble in our spirits and give it and receive it and just allow it to be. Not put any conditions on it, not put any labels on it. I hate labels. I hate labels with a passion, right? Because I just feel like we're conditioning ourselves to set ourselves apart from one another. So I don't like labels,
And it's something as you talk about labels, I was talking to a sister yesterday, and she was talking. She sent me something, about the origin of the name Europe, and she was saying that Europe was named after a Moorish queen named Europia, right? And I replied to her and said, "Block my story," right? And she replied with a long list of things and rebuked me, and said, we have to break away from this black and white thing, because even that is something that has been created by those who want to keep us divided,
Absolutely.
And as a humble learner, I have to just accept and realize what she's saying, because what she's really saying is the fact that most of us, are holding on to things that we have learned over the years, that even today we still beat to chest and talk about black people and white people. Who create this black and white thing? There wasn't anything as such, So, and the historical evidence are there to show that, all of these definitions, are created, especially by men, and we must face that, because it's something enough man no want to talk about. A lot of these labels and definition that we are stuck with and continue to destroy ourselves are created by some insecure men.
Yes. And you know what I have to say with them? Get in touch with your feminine energy. Get in touch with your feminine side, because it might dismantle some of those nonsense that they're carrying around inside of them. Get in touch with it. Get in touch with your feelings. Get in touch with, knowing that, listen, We're all human beings. We're here. We're
Yes.
spiritual beings on a human journey.
Yes.
You need me, I need you. And let me tell you, one of the things I want to say further, and I know this is my opinion, because I watched my
Yes.
mother. I watched my mother.
Mhm.
I did not know my maternal grandparents because they died before I was born.
You're mute. I don't know what happened. You're on mute. Jane, you press something. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you say. Yes, Jane. You have to repeat yourself. It seemed like you were on mute a while ago. I don't know what you touched.
Oh, I don't know what happened. But anyway, listen,
Yeah.
I was saying that I have
Yeah.
to bring my mother into the mix, right?
Yes.
Because wonderful woman. Let me tell you something. Is my mother, my bias, one of the best women I've ever seen that walk this planet, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't do all the things she wanted to do because her husband and her children were so very important to her, right? But
Wow.
she taught us so much about living and about goodness and mercy and loving unconditionally. And maybe that was what she came here to do.
Mhm.
But I feel like the reason I'm bringing her into the mix, I feel like when we, not
Yeah.
just we as women, but all of us,
Mhm.
when we do what
Mhm.
we have come here on earth to do,
Yes.
we help to break the chains that our mothers and our grandparents and our fathers and all of our ancestors, the
Yes.
difficulties and the dilemma that they went through, we help to
Yes.
break those chains for them
True.
because we are now moving forward. And listen,
Mhm.
forward ever, backward never. We have to constantly move forward. We have to constantly be willing to embrace change in this world because there are children and our children's children and their children that are coming. We are only
Yes.
here for a
Yes.
certain amount of time. We have to do the work that's necessary so that we can
Mhm.
move humanity forward, not backward.
Right.
And it feels to me with this chaos like we're going backward. We're going
In
backward.
in your sessions that you're having,
Mm-hmm.
what give, is it more male or female? Just give it that balance because
Let me tell you, as a woman, when I first started, I started out working primarily with females, right?
yes.
Because I felt like the woman has so much she has to break through. She's the nurturer.
Yes.
She's the children's first teacher. And if she's bringing low vibration within herself to the children, then she's creating
Mhm.
another community, another world of low vibrations, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I started working primarily with women. And then I found that some of them were bringing their spouses into the mix, the men into the mix. So I began to
Yeah.
work with males as well, right? And now, even though still
Yes.
it's primarily women, I work also with men because it's
Great. Great.
I believe it's necessary. It's necessary also for the man to connect with the softer side of him, right? And I believe that in the woman, she needs to awaken her feminine energy because of all of the upheavals in the world, so many mothers who are raising their children by themselves, they have had to take on so much of the masculine energy to be the strong one, to be the protector, to be the provider, that she has turned a blind side to her femininity, to her feminine energy, because she feels like if she indulges herself in that side of her, which is natural, then she feels weak.
Mhm.
She feels like, oh wait, I can't, I can't be the nurturer. I can't be and the provider at the same time. I can't be the protector and the one that holds my children and tell them it's okay to cry, to let that emotion flow, right? We have to learn to balance it too. As women, we have more of the feminine energy. We are more of the feminine energy. And it's okay to be in the boardroom and to bring that feminine energy into the boardroom. It's okay to be the CEO of a company and bring that feminine energy into the company, because we have a greater understanding. We know that when a woman gives birth, she needs time. Right? We have that greater understanding of knowing when a woman is on her menstrual cycle. She may not be feeling well. She may feel out of sync, right? And she may need a day or two. We have that. We can bring that in, right? It can't just be all staunch aggression. It can't just be straight up and down and, well, this is what we're going to go with. We need to balance it out. And we need that softness to balance out the harshness, the hard side of what has been leading this world now for so long, that has just turned us into, all types of chaos. So in my sessions, yes, I absolutely bring my feminine energy.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you said it a while ago. If the womb is healed, well, the world is in the process of healing. And this is how we have to observe it, the healing of the feminine energy, to break her from under the heel of the oppression and the suppression for centuries. And we must face it. We must face this fact and not run away from it.
Right.
But deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a dialogical way, have that kind of dialogue that we're having here now, a voice like yours, Jean, is supposed to be all over the world, you're supposed to, we don't know if we have got through so much thing in Jamaica, we see you as an asset. Should be in Jamaica in some of these schools to speak with young girls, you know what I mean? I don't know what you are doing when you are in the States, in the United States of America, if your session take you into institution to interact with young ladies and young men. How is that?
This is what's on one of the, I guess, the initiatives that on my scope for this year, that I want to get more into this, into the speaking role. I also want to take it back into companies, because too many times I've seen women, we are wearing this facade all the time. Show your brilliance. Don't be afraid of showing your brilliance. Don't be afraid. Don't cover it up under the makeup and the tight skirt because you feel that that's going to help you up the ladder. Show your brilliance, right?
Yes.
And it's okay to be brilliant and pretty. It's okay.
Yes.
Bring that.
Let your light shine.
Yes, let your light shine. And so I want, because I see where a lot of, and I'm going to say, I know it happens both in men and women, but I'm speaking primarily to my women. We allow too much self-doubt, too much of not trusting ourselves to enter into whatever spaces and places we go into. It's okay to have our softer side, but to be able to be brilliant at the same time, right? It's okay to speak up and to really, that's why, let me tell you something. I have to say this. I'm going to say this because I even though I know she has heard this many times. You see, my girl, his girl, 77, I love her. I love her like I love cooked food, right? I love her because she just is, to me, a queen. She's not afraid to stand up to the guys. I love it. At Primal, sometimes I read her comments, like even within our own group. I love it because she sparks that fire. But she's also, let me tell you something, when it comes to dynamic mom, she is dear. She's a mother. I mean, she loves and cares for her children, but she's there and she's doing her thing. She's not afraid to don this hat and don that hat and say, wait, you think you guys go have this over me? I love it. I love it. And she's not afraid to be herself.
Nehima Edwards, are you aware of Power Soul?
Yes. Yes,
See,
Naima Rose.
you know,
Love her like
from the
a love
first time I met
coach.
her, I see that, and I felt that energy and that,
Yes,
vibration and
yes,
frequency.
yes,
I know that
yes.
one of the things with life, as you said early on, that pertaining to follow, resist, what follow, me miss it a while
Follow the
ago now.
path of least resistance. Mm-hmm.
Follow the path of least resistance. See?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, when I observe that kind of expression, you realize that once you have clarity of where you are going, right, and have clarity of self, natural alignment is just happening within.
Yes, yes.
Because I was just visualizing who is it I want to start the community buzz with this year, and you just come in on my mind, and say, Gene, I'm gonna say, watch the color. It couldn't have been a better person. You know what I mean? This kind of fire, this kind of energy. Say, me no want have you as this one time here. We need to talk more because, as we say, you come from down a Montego Bay, there enough cares are going down there. Would I like you to be in Jamaica?
Yes,
and that's, we can have this kind of vibrancy among our people. Everybody at TikTok now, and TikTok and Instagram is the space. And sometimes when you go there, it's not anything worthwhile. So
yep, I agree.
Say the time I run out Panway already. So me just want to give you the few minutes. Yeah, that is how it flows because there is not much resistance. Everything is just flowing.
It's just flowing. It's just flowing.
I want you to tell the people about your programs and Primal, Level Up, and all of the other things that you are doing, on your journey.
Well, I have to tell you this. I have to talk about Primal, because I just feel like the entire platform is a blessing. I just feel, and I say it all the time to them. I love them. I love them, love them, because I feel like everybody that shows up there, every DJ, every host brings their heart and their soul into what they do. And it's no fake stuff. It's no fooling around. It's not about what am I getting out of this. It's about really sharing from the heart and from the soul, right? And so I love them. I have a program. It's called Level Up. I come on every Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my greatest thing when I come on, sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. I'm not lying. I come on before I come on my show. I sometimes will chance up. I go within. I like to connect with my divinity, and I say to my divinity, "What do you want your people to hear?" Because the same divinity that's in me is in you, is in everyone, and so I ask that because it's not about me; it's about me decreasing, so that power can take over, right? And I the whole point of checking and seeing what people say, and sometimes I'm like his girl 77. She always tell me, she said, "Boy, you're in the spirit," right? Because sometimes I feel like I go to another level, and it's not something that I'm formulating on my own, but I allow myself to just be used. I allow myself, because when you take on whatever it is you do, whether it's in my coaching business or on Primal or speaking, whatever it is you do, if you're doing it as service, you allow yourself to be used by the divine power in you. And so it's not about how you look to anyone, right? It's not about how you look, or I'm doing it for the likes. Oh man, these people like me. Whoa, you hear that applause? It's not about that. Not about that. We're simply here to serve.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if most of us could understand that, because that is what we promote here in the community about service, you know, how we need to serve each other, or we need to take that responsibility for self, you know, and make sure that life, you know, is much effortless than how we believe we have to fight it. It's never ever a fight, you know what I mean? We
Never
must
ever
follow
fight.
that. We must follow that path of least resistance.
Yes.
It is the path
Yeah.
for us to follow. And you, as a spiritual woman, you know, as we just we never want to use the term woman, but because we honor your energy as the feminine
spiritual
energy.
being. Spiritual being.
But as a spiritual being, you know what I mean? Expressing yourself through your femininity. You see?
Yeah.
We have to give thanks for all of that, because it needs to come to the fore and it needs to be highlighted, you know?
Yes.
So we thank you, my dear sister, for being here. And we chant and give thanks for the divine to continue to inspire soul like you and many more souls, you know, to continue on this path, on this journey, because we are connecting and we are moving all of the blockages from out the way. No more stumbling block for 2024. We say blessings galore, we command it, and we know say it happen. You are a shining light, my dear sister. We thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. And you know what, Imara, I have to say the same to you. You are a shining light. And I love the way you use your platform to speak up and to share awareness, to make people more aware of who they are. And that, let me tell you something, that is something that's huge. So I give thanks for you, my brother, and I give thanks for what you do. I give thanks for how you use your platform. And let me tell you, just continue doing the work, because the work is necessary. And I want to leave you with this.
It's a blessing.
I want to leave you with this, that you know, someone sent me this thing, but it said, if you take the time out to look down at someone, make sure that it's because you're reaching down to give them a helping hand so that they too can rise up.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. What a perfect way to end the program. We give thanks. We give thanks to Julia. We give thanks to the team here at Fit FM. You know what I mean? We are moving forward. We are making it work for our people, for our community. It is the community buzz and Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. You know what? It's the next strong. It is going to turn up to another level. Seeing because we are continuing with this vibration, women on the spiritual path. And guess what? Next month, Black History Month, Julia, we have something to do. We have something to talk about. Black History Month, you know, we are going to do it again, Rona Pablo, on the 10th. But, you know, we are going to take it to another level, because it is about raising the consciousness of our feminine energy. We say deliberately, our feminine energy. So all of the man them will just feel macho and feel like them have to beat them chest and always in this mood of break down your energy, man. Just calm down and feel that vibration in yourself. You know what I mean? Be connected. You can't be afraid of yourself, because if you don't understand your feminine energy, you are lacking off one of the most important part of yourself. Knowing that you need to highlight that, it is a big problem for you. Any man out there, may I say that to the eye them. It is time for which us open up ourselves, you know, man. Just allow the energy to flow. See? Follow the path of what? Least resistance. You know what I mean? Words from my dear sister, Jean Shim. We love you, my sister. We love you. You know, you're
love you too.
Just go and wear that ear then. We just love you in your natural beauty, you know, your grace and everything, you know, and the smile. See? We'll talk again, Queen. It's just love and life.
Yes, we love that. We love that. Give thanks. Give thanks for you and your crew. All right?
Yeah. One big up Primal 4K. We big up his girl, 77 Mihima. We big up Gaddafi DJ Gaddafi. We give thanks, and we give thanks to all of the people. Discussion. Yeah. You know, say some people just sit down and just take it in and don't want to even say a word. Because as somebody will listen to radio sometime, you know, sometimes hear some discussion, you don't really want to even get up to go even drink a glass of water or even go to the bathroom, because it is so, you know, riveting, you know, and just have you just, you know, listening. And I believe this conversation with my dear sister is such a powerful one, you know what I mean? People just lagging and don't want to move. We're blessing them up. We're blessing them up. We give thanks. Next round, we're going to talk to Bastet Ayabinge. See, we are going to take it to a deeper level. It's feminine power that we are talking about for 2024. And for my brother, never like it and feel like I empower woman too much, because I know enough man out there say that, you know, this man not chat about woman. They say 10 women in the opposition party now, and what is happening? And all of them are ministers. We need a more caring country. And I realize the patriarchal vibration really at work. You know, everybody wants for sure, you know. But it's power and it's light. We are out of here. Love and light, family.